Quanice.
LA, warm, sunny days, even in January. City of angels, traffic and Hollywood. Beach life is life. Lakers, Dodgers, Kings, and Rams. My birthplace, my bragging rights. I was born 30 years ago in LA proper. My family moved a lot, so I've lived all over the South Bay. When asked what part of LA you're from, I used to stumble. Inglewood, Hawthorne, Compton, South LA, Long Beach. Now I just say LA proper or all over LA. I believe my pride in my city was nurtured by my dad. He was a big fan of Tupac Shakur and would frequently listen to a song called To Live and Die in LA. The song illustrated the many things that make up LA and why we should love it. To this day, I'm still a big fan of Tupac Shakur as an artist and a revolutionary. And I'm a big fan of music that carries meaning. At 18, I moved about 400 miles away to Berkeley for school. I often say that the Bay Area is where I grew up. I arrived in the Bay Area, a little 18-year-old girl, and I left a 23-year-old young woman. In the Bay, I learned how to be more independent. I was forced to become more financially responsible because I refused to ask my family for any help. I learned some harsh lessons in love after experiencing my first real heartbreak. I also found my lifelong best friends and developed a community and network of people that helped me survive college. The Bay Area is also where I searched for my spirituality while simultaneously becoming a wine connoisseur. Saturdays were for wine tasting and Sundays were for church. The Bay Area is where I became a yoga-loving, farmer's market-going hippie. I learned that just because it looks sunny outside does not mean that it isn't freezing. I never adapted to the Bay Area weather, and I despise being cold. Then, there was New York, New York. I never knew that I could love a city as much as I love my own, but it did happen. It was in New York that I met some of the top politicians and CEOs of major companies. I was accepted into a competitive public affairs and leadership program called Coral Fellows. That was the most intense periods of my life. If you can think student government on steroids meets social justice nonprofit meets MTV's Real World. I learned so much about my leadership style, how I show up in teams, and of course about public policy in New York. The fellowship did not pay very much, but it did grant myself and my group access to all of the fancy New York soirees where free food was plentiful. New York is where I realized that I was a foodie because my list of things to do resembled more of a restaurant guide. It was the first time in my life that I realized that I do in fact like pizza. LA pizza has nothing on New York. That year is the year I lost track of what I wanted to become, and I also experienced seasonal depression. Yes, it is a real thing, my fellow Angelinos. I became obsessed with public school reform, analyzing the wealth gap in the U.S., and I became addicted to Netflix documentaries. In New York is where my love of museums grew, my favorite being the Brooklyn Museum of Art. New York is where the germophobic, OCD, neat freak side of me had to take a back seat because there was no way that I could survive. I returned back to Los Angeles 5 years ago. I moved with my dad in Long Beach. Not having a car, being unemployed, and wanting to be out of the house as much as possible led me to become the beach bum that I am today. Everything I did was at the beach. Beach workouts, beach reading, studying for business courses, long naps on the beach, yoga at the beach, walks on the beach, you name it. Even though I'm a lot more busy these days, I still try to make it to the beach as much as possible because I often say that the beach and Adele are my therapist. I also love being back in LA to see my family grow. I have 2 beautiful nieces and 2 outrageously handsome nephews. I pride myself on being the best auntie in the world. Although my family drives me crazy, I love being able to spend time with them. I also, since being back in Los Angeles, I also have picked up babysitting. I nanny 3 days a week, and in addition to teaching me more about my city, the children that I nanny also teach me more about patience and flexibility. Family, love, and morning hikes. Magnet to transplants from rural and small towns. The best Mexican food outside of Mexico. My daily dose of fresh smog.